Expecto Patronum. Patronum. Right. Alex, Alex,
Yes,
welcome back.
I'm coming. Sorry,
I'm
I get
coming.
I get I. Sorry, I just do some weird things sometimes. Zach,
Yeah, well,
how are you?
it's a magical
Are we
thing. It has a
recording?
magical effect on us, Harry Potter. It does.
It really does. Were you recording that whole time?
Well, not the whole time, but
Oh, okay.
at some point in there.
Well, here we are. We're here to talk about the next film in the Harry Potter canon,
The
Harry
canon.
Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes, of course, not to be confused with the non-canon lineage of movies. We won't be
Called
reviewing
Harry Potter
those.
and the really old man is what is
Yeah.
that's what the other
Harry Potter. Harry Potter takes Manhattan.
takes me. Harry Potter and the Great Potter Caper. I
Yeah,
don't the Great Potter Caper.
that's right.
Yeah, so Prisoner of Azkaban, the third film in the Harry Potter franchise, the third book as
It's
well
true.
in the
From
book
what I've
series.
heard, it's true.
They changed the name. It was called the locked in man in Azkaban.
Yes, it was usually it used to be called Harry Potter and the Imprisoned Azkabanian. Uh, I don't know why
Yes,
they changed it. It was,
the imprisoned Azkabanian. I don't know why they decided to change that. This is a controversial decision. We were all very
Harry Potter fans, like, yeah, they're very passionate about
this,
it.
yeah.
But it's no
But
biggie.
anyway,
We're here to talk about the substance of the movie. All right.
Zach, as somebody who is rewatching these movies
Yes.
for the first time in quite some time, what are your thoughts about Prisoner of Azkaban?
I thought it was great. I thought it was cool. I thought it was dark, and I like it. I like it.
Um,
It was a nice like change in tone. Like you really
mm,
dipping your toes into a new layer of the wizarding world here.
Fairly new production design. Completely changed the whole look. This solidified the look of Harry Potter film for the rest of all of them, including the Fantastic Beasts films.
Hmm.
Everything from here on out takes inspiration is from this look, this production design of the film. The Hogwarts Castle is forever changed. It's now looks like this. It legitimately in an actual place in the Highlands rather than having that sort of awkward like courtyard area that's just like a flat
Hmm.
to Hagrid's hut in the Dark Forest. The Dark Forest is like on a hill. It goes down into the down to that clearing down there, and but yeah, all of that stuff is now forever like encapsulated in that sort of look. Like this, to me, really solidifies everything about how Harry Potter feels and looks from here on out. I like the Chris Columbus films for what they do for the sort of warm hugs. I think this might be, it's not my favorite movie of the films, but I think this might be the best made film
Hmm.
of them.
I like
The
the
direction is
yeah.
just inspired. It's picking Alfonso Cuarón as the director is a bit of a bold move after somebody that's relatively safe and you know what he's going to do. But in terms of Chris Columbus, but this is just like it was dark. It felt more mature as our characters are beginning to mature, but it felt
Yeah.
appropriate for the tone of the book, which is starting to ramp up this idea of like the sort of like everything about this book is about revenge, right? So that is, you that's an easy broad topic, right? A lot of media has delved into that, but this like it doesn't shy away from the ugly aspects of like revenge is like not a pretty thing. It's a thing that has just long-standing effects on everyone's
And
lives. And
it's the dish best served cold, which is like it's another part of
yeah,
it.
Shakespeare, yes, Shakespeare. They're okay. You Shakespeare. A lot of Shakespeare in this movie.
Oh,
The whole theme, the double trouble. That's the whole witch's
boiling
brew thing
boiling
from
trouble.
from
Yeah.
Macbeth. So like John, that's incorporated deeply into the score of the film is this sort of, there's a whole medieval feeling to this as well. Like you really feel a lot more like you're in a medieval castle.
Hmm.
There's just like lots of little different details, things like the ghosts, the headless hunt ghosts that are going, and
Right.
that are a lot of the instrumentation feels a lot more medieval. There's a lot more more ancient, quote unquote, older instrumentation in terms of John Williams is really reaching out here in terms of the score. This is the last of the Harry Potter films that he will score. But this feels very tonally different from any of the previous themes in the other two movies, which is interesting as well.
I love that. I love that Harry Potter has a lot more chutzpah. He talks back to people. He's like, he gives Snape crap. Like I like him. He's like,
the three of them are fantastic in this movie.
Mhm.
I'll just throw that out there. I've sort of like poo-pooed their acting a little bit so far. They're all fantastic in this movie. They're great children. They're great kid actors here.
I mean,
All three of them are like up to this point top of their game. They're killing it in terms of the performances.
it's true. It's true. And it's crazy how kids work. How from the last movie to this movie is like such a jump. They feel like they're so much older.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. And it makes sense. They're all 13. The actors themselves are like 13, 14. Tom Felton, I think, is like 16. So of course he looks quite a bit older just in general. But that fits Malfoy in this sort of like sneering.
Draco Malfoy is
prickness.
so dumb. He is so dumb in this movie. He's like
He's so
he's
dumb.
freaking like what did he say? Dementors, and then put
Dementor.
Ooh, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
He's the only one not growing up.
He's making fun of him. He's making fun of Harry for fainting on the train.
So
That's
dumb.
embarrassing.
He's
dumb,
his
he's a
bullying
bully.
and
Bullies are
humor
dumb.
Is not even like, it's not even clever about how he bullies people.
Yeah, you fainted. You actually fainted.
Like, I like he's really not too present in this movie, but the parts where he is, he's like, okay, but he still has some growing up to do. Let Draco grow up some more.
Let him grow up. All right. Yeah. So, film starts with I think I'd said, I don't remember if I'd said in the last review that I think that the opening shot over Surrey might have been one of my favorite opening like sequences in a Harry Potter film, but I actually disagree. I think this one is my favorite. I love the sort of like the fade in of the glowing and the fade in of the glowing, and it illuminates the WB logo as we come into the room. There's just something that is magical about that, right? Like there's just something that's really draws you into Harry's world yet again for another year. And I also like the fact that you can see that portrait of Dudley yet again on the back wall there, where Uncle Vernon opens the door.
Yeah.
I'm forever entertained by the portrait of Dudley in his Smeltings uniform, or Smeltons, or whatever the heck that stupid school is called.
We get Aunt Marge thrown in the mix here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole family's lovely. Every new member you get thrown in the family, it's lovely. You love them.
The dinner scene is like an art piece. They did such a good job with adapting that sort of feel of like how, like, you thought the Dursleys were bad, and they're not kind to Harry, but then you get just somebody who's just doesn't care about anything and just is like one of the rudest, most awful people. Like, she's even worse somehow than the Dursleys. Yeah. She really is. And everything about the lighting, the fact that that scene is done so well, like how everything feels like very like the artificial lighting and everything of like how everything's lit, and because it's like a sort of a dark and stormy, like it's not stormy, but it's overcast. It's Great Britain. Yeah, everything about that, and then of course the hilarious her blowing up and everything. The shot, the zoom out, the slow zoom out, where it's showing them like we're showing Vernon and Petunia like crying to the sky, and then just like Dudley taking cake off his bib and continuing to watch the TV. It's like it's a thing of beauty. I love that.
And
then you see her continue to fly away when Harry leaves. Then after that,
it's all funny and all, but like Harry is cold blooded. Like he let her to die. Like you just blew her up and just let her go, and you think that's just fine? We can just do that? Or this is what wizards can do? And he's like,
I
oh, I'm gonna
mean,
get in trouble for this one. Yeah, you pretty much killed her.
you can't control it. I mean, yeah,
Pretty
you
much
can't
killed that
control it.
woman and did not bat an eye. It was like no, it was
Well, he
cold, man.
didn't. You were told when he
I
meets Fudge. Fudge assures him that she's okay.
okay, but
They got
not from
they
his
got
doing
that.
whatsoever. As far as he's concerned,
No,
he just flew up into the air. How's that going to end well for her? Jeez, we're
who
introduced
knows? You
to a
know, she could
cold,
pop.
cold version of Harry, going down a dark path.
He's down a dark path. Well, be nicer to be nicer to children.
Yeah, but
And maybe don't call, and maybe just maybe don't call their dead mother a bitch,
yeah.
or an implication that
Simply
that's what she's calling
comparing
her.
it to the bitch to
Yeah,
the female.
but that's
Court.
but that's basically what she's saying
Yeah.
to a degree. So it's like, yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it's just like superheroes. Like wizards have some sort of responsibility. You can't just go killing people, right?
Well, so normally he would have gotten in horrible trouble, but
Boyle
Sirius Black is on the
double
loose.
trouble.
But Sirius Black is on the loose, and Fudge is in he's in what mode? He's in this is fine mode, I guess you could say. Like, no, Harry's fine. Harry, it's okay, Harry. You did this thing, but it's fine because it would look very, very bad if Harry, who is not supposed to be leaving that house, who is doing magic, underage magic. If he then storms out of home, is not retrieved by any maiden from the Ministry, and then gets killed by Sirius Black, who is a killer that we were informed through the night bus sequence, which is another very fun and silly, goofy sequence. But not before Harry encounters a menacing black dog, who shows up multiple times throughout the film in various forms.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Stan Shunpike. He's great. That guy's. I've seen that guy in other stuff too. He's a good actor. I like how he's just a guy doing his job. He's just doing his job. He also points at his badge when he's I'm Stan Shunpike, despite the fact it's very very customer servicey. Even in the wizarding world, they've got people that are just that, you know.
Yep, and then you have that whole sequence, flying down the road in that thing.
No.
It's just like Harry Potter will do this to you sometimes. It's almost like, Halloween Town. I just keep thinking of Halloween Town. But Halloween Town will just throw in these random things like this. But it's like Harry Potter. They have this bus that just got like a chandelier and some beds in it, just like nonsense, and it's flying through, zipping through the traffic, and then it freaking squishes itself to fit between two. It's just, and this comical little talking head along the way.
Yeah, who is not in the books, by the way. The talking heads are not in. I don't know why they're here. I'm kind of here for it though, because it's really weird and strange and fun. Yeah, take it away, Eddie. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Why the long face?
So much. Hey, man, why the long faces? I love it. I love him. I've always loved him. I remember being really confused when I was a kid. I was like, what is this? But I was also like, but he's kind of funny.
They're just throwing you in. High velocity, just magic stuff happening,
Yeah.
You just enjoy.
Because the Shrunken Heads show up again in the Hogsmeade, whatever the pub is called. I can't remember. It's not the Leaky Cauldron. That's in London. The Leaky Cauldron. That's in London. Arthur Weasley informs Harry that Sirius Black was a big supporter of Voldemort, and he's after him, and that's the whole reason why Fudge is in complete repair everything. He's in kind of emergency fix it all mode, and why he was so forgiving of Harry, because he's of most importance to protect at this point. So,
Yeah.
So, but on our way back to Hogwarts, we then are shown of that whole the train sequence there. Another great tone setter
Hmm.
for just how creepy
Yes.
and
Yes.
dark this movie is.
These are some of the things I found like. I don't know how many times I watched the movies back in the day because I
Mm,
definitely found this one more memorable. Like I feel like I watched this one more than the others.
mm,
I mean, I remembered some scenes from the first two, but this one, like a lot of it, stuck out to me. And I mean, I was always I remember being a big fan of like Sirius Black as a character too when I was
yeah,
younger.
for
But
sure.
I really love also just Harry Potter in general, the whole moving picture thing. I think it's a nice little charming thing, and how you have like his mugshot basically is him just freaking.
Yeah. So this is something that I don't remember it being specifically like this in the books, but there's like this thing they do in the movies where depending on and this is something that's like it's almost like a commentary on media in general, right? Because the moving picture is supposed to be a depiction of the person and they're just moving around. But in these movies, particularly in this one and following, it's like a media piece of how whoever is writing the article or whoever has the picture, that's how they want you to see that person.
Mm-hmm.
So they make Sirius Black look like he's a raving lunatic
Yeah.
on every single time when he's not really. That's because that's what you need to. That's the sensationalism of it, because that's what we all assume based on the evidence that we had been always presented, was that Sirius Black killed Peter Pettigrew, and because because he was a friend of James and Lily's, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then because he was upset after Voldemort got killed. That's the story that we all supposedly know.
And I think they do a lot better with like the little twists and turns along the way in this movie
Mm.
than
Hmm.
maybe in like the other one where it's like clear that the certain characters are like very suspicious in the last two movies. This one I feel like they
Hmm.
do a good job of like okay, oh, is this guy actually bad? No, he's good actually, but and it's like
Yeah,
there's
they
a
do a
couple
lot of the
different.
switcheroo sort of stuff, because Lupin is like one of my favorite characters in the entire
Yeah, I think he's
book
great.
series. Remus Lupin is one of my favorite characters, and portrayed magnificently by David Thewlis in this film. He's just a warm, welcoming soul, and like an actually good teacher, like
Yeah.
the first good defense against the dark arts teacher they've ever had.
Yep, and for a moment they try to make it seem like they're doing the he's a bad guy thing again,
Yeah,
you know.
they do. Yeah, because he embraces black there, and yeah,
And if it was the
yeah,
case, I definitely would be like, okay, yeah, that's pretty corny, but luckily
yeah,
it's
but
not the case.
yeah, it's like no, a lot of this stuff is just wrong because it turns out Scabbers, Ron's rat,
Yeah,
is Peter Pettigrew this whole time,
right.
which really is kind of just a bizarre twist. Really,
That
like
is a very
I love it.
it's very
How weird
bizarre.
it is.
The fact that he's just
Yeah.
been taking care of a grown man this whole time.
Isn't that strange? Yeah.
A little
That's
unsettling.
why they did such a better job in the book of describing Ron's like actual revulsion when Peter Pettigrew comes over to him like you took like I'm your
Yeah.
rat, like you took care of me, and like Ron's like recoils, like he's just like so because it's so
It is
weird
disgusting. I
to
mean,
think
as soon
about.
as you see him
Yeah.
come out, and it's like, oh, okay, go back to the rat form, all right? Jesus
T-
Christ.
Timothy Spall has really consistently taken advantage of the fact that he is not a very attractive man, and he has done perfect stuff acting wise. No, I'm serious. He is like leaned into that as an actor and played characters throughout his career, because I've seen other stuff he's been in it,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Yeah.
does such a good job with that. You use what you got sometimes. So, and he's using what he's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, Lupin is cool. I like how he got little layers, where Snape teaches about the werewolves, and then
Hmm.
that comes into play. I like the little bit with the ridiculous. where
Ridiculous.
where he steps in and it turns into a moon because that's what he's scared of.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like these
Yeah.
little details there.
Yeah, they do a lot of really good stuff with that. One of the things still bothers me. It bothered me when I watched it when I was younger, and it always bothers me now. Is that they don't fill in what I feel is a fairly important detail. It's implied heavily, but it's never really ever explicitly stated. And I feel like you sort of have to. Who are Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs?
Right. Yeah.
They never say that. It's implied because Sirius and Lupin know so intricate details about the Marauders map, but they never really go into detail, despite the fact that the whole crux of Prisoner of Azkaban is about the past. All of it is about the past. It's all about Harry's dad and his relationship with Lupin and his relationship with Sirius Black. Like, that's ultimately the crux of that, and that's sort of the why Harry is so drawn to Lupin in general. Anyways, he's someone who is the first person that he's talked to that was as close to his parents as, I mean, he was friends with them, so it's like Dumbledore always is, knew them clearly, but not to the degree that not the closeness that Lupin had. And so having this sort of tie to the past is caused him to be a lot closer to him. And every scene they have together is just, it's so good. They do such a good job. They have a very good on-screen chemistry also, of it's almost like father figure, almost like older brother and younger brother. It's very good. I've always really liked all of the scenes with them just walking around the grounds together. It's just awesome. I love it. The fact that you don't explain that part of it, it's like a blight on an otherwise fantastic and perfectly scripted and executed film. You could have had something in there to explain that Moony is Lupin, Wormtail is Peter Pettigrew, Padfoot is Sirius Black, and Prongs is James. And that's another thing they don't really explain either, is that's sort of where Harry understands who Prongs is the form that his Patronus takes, a stag. And it takes that form because that was the type of animagus that his father was. He took the form of a deer, a stag. They go into this more in the book, so you don't really need to know it in the movie. But the reason that they all learned to do that was so that they could be with Lupin when he transformed, because he was already a werewolf when he was at Hogwarts. He was attacked when he was very young. So the whole reason of the Shrieking Shack existing at all, it was a structure that they built so that Remus Lupin could transform when he was at school, and they then built up this whole haunted sort of ghost story around it, just sort of explain the screams and cries of terror that would happen once a month when he would go and transform, and his friends, who no one else knew at the time, were also there with him to help ease him, calm him down more, because they were able to take the forms of animals to sort of keep him in check.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And it's details like that. It's I wish that there was. I understand you got to keep the movie going. You can't always halt stuff to explain some of that. But even just explaining that Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs are the four of them is enough. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Especially because this is also the introduction of the Marauders map, which in and of itself is a tie to the past, but Fred and George give it to Harry here, and it's a nice tie-in. The book itself, Prisoner of Azkaban, is a really just all the details sort of melding into one another to sort of fill out this. Harry's finally getting an idea of what his dad was like at school. The movie doesn't quite do that part justice, but what it makes up for it in is pretty much everything else is really great. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on. I don't think it's a perfect adaptation. I also hate the final shot of the film. I really don't like that at all. I've never liked it. I've always hated it. I've always hated it, despite the fact that I think this is it's why do we have to have that? Why?
I don't. And then he starts saying the what did he say at the end?
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Yeah, I was like, okay, wait, is it coming back in? And then I saw the title. I'm like, oh, okay, it's done. Like, are we? Oh wait, are we continuing? That would have been even more
Yeah,
disturbing if we continued after that.
right.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, I do like how they bring back certain things like the invisibility cloak, and how he's messing around with that
Mm-hmm.
more. That's not just like left in the other movies. It's still playing a
Mm.
role. And then I do actually like how they handle the little time travel sequence.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
And it's
I
not.
also like when they're first going back in time. One of the things that I love the I catch it the first few times I saw this movie,
Hmm.
but during one of the rewatches I noticed that like one of the people that they're in the hospital wing that they're when they're going back in time, they're like it looks like they're rewrapping somebody like almost like a mummy.
Hmm.
It's like they were in like a
Okay.
full body wrap. So, which is I found very funny.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I like the little
yeah.
details of like Hermione, with the classes and stuff. Like maybe they're a
Mm.
little heavy-handed with it, where it's like every scene is like, oh, did she just appear there, or when did she come in? When did she come in? But they really had to sell it, I guess, for it to
Hmm.
make sense in the end.
Yeah, that's very much a movie thing to sort of. They didn't really have too much in terms of that in the book from memory serve. It was just
Yeah.
more in that it was like she was always exhausted and overworked in the book. Like every time they talked to her, she had like four more classes than they did or something. She had like ancient runes and uh, arithmancy and which is like an advanced level class, and then like she also did. I think she was taking like Muggle studies.
Oh.
And Ron was like, "Why are you taking Muggle studies? Your parents are Muggles." And she's like, "Well, it's fascinating to learn from their point, from a wizard's point of view." And
That's
it
so
was like,
interesting. See, that's even a class that exists, Muggle studies.
hmm hmm
Yeah. What do you learn? You just like
you just
history
yeah,
or like biology?
it's like I think history as well as like just how they like societally, like how they work and how they live. Um, so
Simple, simple people. Yeah, the Muggles.
it's the thing. Well, the thing is that it's only around the turn of the century is when they started to interact more because wizards had been in hiding for so long because they were persecuted for like thousands of years.
Read about
Yeah,
the Salem witch trials.
the Salem witch trials are a big thing in America. Yes, that's why the wizards are in hiding in the states.
Wait, is that for
Uh,
real?
yeah,
No, I was just
yeah.
saying
That's
that.
that's that's the no. That's the history for that's the Harry Potter, the sort of like the Wizarding World history of the Salem witch
Oh,
trials are the reason why wizards are in hiding in the New World.
fair enough.
So
So they were onto
yeah.
something with the Salem witch trials. So it wasn't just
No, I think so. I think the idea there is it was hysteria. Like none of them were actually witches, but like it caused
the
all of
actual
the
witches.
actual like wizards and stuff.
Wow.
I could be wrong about that. It's been a little bit since I've read that. I think, but it was sort of like a hysteria. So then that caused them to like drove them way
They
back
were ahead
further
of
into
their
hiding.
time. They were ahead of
Also,
their time.
Native American, Native Americans already had magic too. So like that's another whole thing
Wow.
as well.
It's good to know these facts
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
world
Mm-hmm.
that we live
There's
in.
some cool stuff. The world we live in.
So yeah, I mean, and there's something so satisfying about Hermione punching Draco in the face too.
It's
When
great.
you play it back a
Good
second
punch.
time, yeah.
You get play. Yeah, you get to see it again. See it a couple times. The time travel sequence is as you were saying is so wonderful. I love the fact that Dumbledore knew that he was going to do that the whole time,
Hmm.
which is why he then extends stuff with it's like your name only. It's a very long name. Which you come to find out later that yes, Dumbledore's name is very long. It's Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore, I think
Brian,
is his full name.
right?
Yes. Um,
Call me
uh,
Brian.
it's but also that when they do head outside, he's showing Fudge. He's like, oh yes, this is the picket fence that Professor Dippet had when he put in when he was headmaster, and you see all the strawberries up there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And they say Buckbeak,
Buckbeak,
who
yeah.
is the
Big role.
hippogriff. That's a great sequence too as well. I
I
like the
definitely
the fight.
remembered that from back in the day
Mm,
too. It stuck out
mm,
to me.
yeah.
Draco just Draco just exists to be a dickhead. Every scene, like that's all he is. There's like not substance there in this movie whatsoever. It's just I'm existing to be like a thorn in your side. And that's it. Not an ounce of maturity. I'm just gonna obviously storm in there. This will obviously not go well, and it's almost like a scene in Game of Thrones where it's like, okay, now we're gonna put down Buckbeak for this, right? It's like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, first, everyone in the committee took turns talking about why we were there. If you, it's like, hey, that sounds like every meeting I've ever been a part of too.
Yeah, it's nice though. Like, you know, Hagrid's got a couple little moments there where it was pretty endearing, where he clearly loves that Buckbeak and is heartbroken about it. And then he has little moments where he's asking Harry how he's doing. It's kind of cute. He's like, "How am I doing on the first day?"
Oh, yeah. He's just there's so much. Again, Robbie Coltrane, man, he's a treasure. So they're talking. They've come out recently. It is official as of yesterday, from where we're recording this, that they are going to be making a Harry Potter series on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
Each season is going to be each book. So a lot of my complaints about the movies sometimes not being the most faithful, they're going to be able to do that. The one thing that the movies get right that I don't know how they're ever going to top, the casting of these films is so good. It's a who's who of British actors. And you can't do that again. There's just no way. There's just no way you can possibly do it again.
That's the problem. And I mean, if that doesn't, if they don't have that like casting that'll stand up to it, the rest of it doesn't really matter. You know? Yeah. You can have all the details in the world. But if the heart's not there, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Not my Harry Potter.
So that's the thing that I'm gonna scrutinize probably the most when they start doing cast announcements, because like that's really important. That's really important because I think that's the best. That to me, that's probably the best part about these movies.
Satisfied with any cast announcements, though? Like, is there anyone who would be like, yes?
I just don't even. Well, I don't even know where to begin. Like that's almost the thing. It's like, who do you even pick? Who wasn't in these movies before, anyways? Like, you know, it's like I mean, there's a lot of new blood out there, you know, in terms of some of the obviously the children characters.
Yeah, some mudblood though.
But like, for crying out loud, you get David Tennant showing up in the next one. Is Matt Smith going to be in it too? Maybe he'll be Professor Quirrell. Matt Smith will show up as Professor Quirrell in the Philosopher's Stone series. I don't know.
That's right.
But anyway, magical effects, sound effects. What are your thoughts on that? I've actually never really talked about this with anybody.
I didn't have much thoughts on it, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay. Because it's something that's sort of new. It's added in this film, and it's in most of the rest of them, from what I can remember. I really like it. It's just a fun little whimsical extra detail to it. To me, it just sort of adds to the magicality of everything. You know, everything feeling sort of like part of this other world. I can't imagine magic being quite the same. If like they couldn't have really done it, I feel like, in the old way again. They could have, I guess, where it was like basically silent, but you know, doing spells and stuff. But like where Lupin and Sirius are trying to forcibly transform Peter Pettigrew, and it's like every time their wands go, it's like, you know, makes that little sound effect and like scattering dust and everything like that. It's like the old way of having them show it. Like you couldn't make that sort of franticness of the sound effects and him running around and all the dust flying up of like for where the spells are going, like that. A lot of that stuff just wouldn't have worked in the sort of old way of the effects and the production and everything like that. But the way that they did it here, I mean, it's fun. It's more whimsical, but it's also like, I don't know, I like it.
It feels natural for what they're doing. You know, it's like it didn't bother me at all.
It didn't even occur to you. Yeah. It didn't even occur to you. No, it's just like to me, it's like one of those little extra detail things that I think is really kind of fun that they did. You're so in it that you're looking for
the minute details. You know.
I do. I love the minute details. The wands are different in this movie. Also, they finally given everybody a unique wand. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the wands in the older ones were just kind of basic looking, kind of wooden sticks, more or less, and In this one, they're all different. They're all unique looking. So it's just the
So
first time
what's the
they've
lore?
done
What's
that.
the lore
So
there? How they switched all their wands out?
the lore is they get a completely new production team to start working on these
Magic.
movies. That's the lore.
Magic.
Magic. Yes, yeah. I guess that's the.
So this is where
Yeah.
so this is the ones that they have for the rest of the
Mhm.
series, basically
Yep.
the iconic ones that were at
Yep.
the what was it? What was the name of the freaking exhibit I went to? The Harry Potter exhibit. The
I don't know.
Smithsonian?
Was it in? They had a Harry Potter exhibit in the Smithsonian. Maybe. Yeah, I think they
My
did.
joke. I don't know. I went there with some friends
Yeah.
that invited me, and they had all the unique wands, on display along in this
Hmm.
room. And the other different stuff that stood out from here, like they had. I mean, they had still basically like for kids, kind of little touchscreen things, like the ridiculous stuff where it's like
Mm.
you pick your
Hmm.
fear, and then it's like you go like this on the screen, and then it's like you're casting it, and it turns into
Oh, that's
whatever.
fun.
So they had like because it stood out to me because they had a spider, they had a snake, and they had a moon. Were like the three main
Mm.
ones that I remember. There's like
Right.
if you're scared of the dark, the nighttime, scared of spiders,
Mm.
scared of snakes. I forget if there's one more. Clowns. I think clown might have just straight up been one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I like how so when we were watching it, when Parvati transforms the snake into a
Yeah.
clown thing, or like, did that improve it? That made it scarier somehow.
It also like I didn't like
It's-
that part at all because it was like the other
yeah,
ones were like clever things to like disarm them. This one is
yeah,
just complete. It's a different thing. Like that's not still
yeah,
a snake. That's just a clown now. I like the
yeah.
spider. He added the shoes. It's like clever
Spider
little
with a roller
wings.
skate. That was actually funny. Yeah, it was actually funny too. But I also
I like
like
stuff like
Snape
that.
being dressed up. Snape being dressed up in Neville's grandmother's clothes is awesome too.
Yeah, and that, and then
They
him
got
turning the moon into a balloon, but then just he
yeah.
comes up on the snake and just like, all right, I'll just make it a clown. All right, well you can just make anything a clown, I guess.
I guess. Just make it a clown. Send in the clowns.
Which is like, yeah,
Um,
not really much better, but it's okay.
yeah, you didn't. Yeah, way to go. But
But yeah, there's some cool stuff that I'm sure I would appreciate more, like, cause I went there basically because one of the people couldn't go. I was like a fill-in because they were like they had an extra pass,
mm,
for that exhibit, and I feel like I would appreciate a lot more upon like seeing it all fresh, because they do have a nice
yeah,
exhibit there. They have like they had like stuff from the movie, like actual clothes and stuff like that. It's pretty
mm.
legit.
Yeah. One of the things that I was unfortunate wasn't able to get over to when we were in New York back in January is we weren't able to go to the Harry Potter store that's in New York. And I'm sure they have like lots of like props and obviously a bunch of merchandise that you can buy, but there weren't any like props. I'm sure they had plenty of props and stuff. I actually have a prop wand. I have a Harry Potter replica wand. So somewhere, I don't know where it is. It might still be back at my parents' place. I should look for. I'm house sitting this weekend, so I should go look for it. But what
I
is
have
that?
a replica. This is not related at all, but it's a replica of Belle from Breaking Bad. It's
Oh,
the
Salamanca is
Salamanca
Belle, huh?
Belle. Yeah,
Oh, okay, interesting.
pretty cool.
I didn't know they made such a
I
thing.
mean, I don't know where they got it from exactly, like what, but
Mhm.
I got it as a gift, so it's just what they told me it
Okay,
was. So I'm like, yeah,
that's pretty neat.
but that's the only
Cool.
thing close to a replica I have, if anything.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of like what else if I have any other like sort of like replica kind of things like that. I do. Off the top of my head, I don't.
I
But
remember back in
nothing
the
quite like
day,
that.
like people owning the different wands and stuff for sure.
Mm. I've actually always really liked Hermione's wand the most. I like the sort of like inlaid sort of like pattern around it. Is really cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to
It's
tell
just
you.
very very nice.
I wouldn't be able to tell you whose wand looks like what. I'd have to see them.
But yeah, this is I think this movie's great.
It's great.
Um,
It's
I
great.
I think again problems with sort of its adaptation is a little sloppy. I feel like there's some stuff that they just could have explained a lot better and would have made the movie make more sense. But what we have here is still very serviceable as a film, and um, I just think it's like its ultimate message is just really beautiful too. The Because so much of it is about the past and like wanting like justice or revenge or whatever for the past, that like the ultimate sort of like lesson that's learned is that like even if, for example, Harry is ultimately responsible for helping save Peter Pettigrew, which is like a, you know, it's a thing that's gonna obviously come back in the next film because he got away. But what sort of what Sirius says, where it's like the people that we, you know, they're never really gone. We still have them here, and like that whole sort of framing around the whole movie, like with it being so much about the past of his father and everyone else, is just like it just works. It just works.
It's a cool tone shift for sure. Like very
Yeah.
different tonally from the first two.
Yeah.
It reflects how they've clearly grown up, you know. And
It's also desaturated. The color palette is very purposely desaturated a lot in this, and to sort of give it that, because the Dementor's around, it sort of gives that sort of grim kind of vibe to everything, right from the get go. And yeah, I love it. I really like the look and feel and
we need
direction, the lighting.
We need more light in this world, just like Dumbledore said. You know, what did he say? you know it line for line.
Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Yeah. Also, so Michael Gambon takes over.
Turn on the light in the next movie, right?
Michael Gambon takes over as Dumbledore. That Dumbledore is literally just relegated to like weird, wise sayings in most of this film. I don't know if you that was something I just noticed this time when watching it, because he also has that thing like, through in dreams we can climb over the highest mountain.
Yeah, that was the very
sail over the. I like that. I love that. I've always really liked that scene in particular, because it also shows like Snape again always showing a little bit of like legitimate concern about Harry's well-being, which is always interesting because he clearly still doesn't like him at all. But he always is like kind of asking about like making sure he's okay, which is interesting. We'll just say that. We'll obviously get to talk about him in full later, but we will also talk about how he's completely. We don't really see it so much in the movies, but he's just strutting about the castle at night. My dad didn't strut, and nor do I. And it's like, well, your dad did kind of strut, actually.
I like how he insults his abnormally large nose, and I like when he hits him with that wand at the end. A nice little moment too. All right, so I give it an 8.5 out of 10. All right.
I'm right there with you, Zach. This is 8.5 for me too. Is it? You know what? Screw it. I'm giving it a 9. I love this movie. I give it a 9. I think again it holds it back a little bit from being super high by adaptation's messy, but everything else about this movie is just like really. I love it. I think the comedic beats are all there. They're all really good. I love Ron having a nightmare about spiders randomly.
It's not random. It's a throwback to Ridiculous.
Well, it is, but like,
the tap dance.
I don't want to tap dance. You tell those spiders, Ron.
Yeah, I like that.
There's that. There's what's another good one? The boys hanging out when Ron's like showing off some of the candy he got when he was in Egypt.
Oh yeah.
And they're all just hanging out and like making different animal sounds. I like that scene, the little camaraderie there, and it's good. I really like this movie a lot.
It's solid. It's the Tarqaron score 8.75 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not too shabby for Harry Potter.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
All right. So come back next week for another. Perhaps you'd like another. Perhaps you'd like another.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Another one. And another one.
And another one.
And another one. Yes.
You can take
that prop shout outs to DJ Khaled.
You can put the hinges in the hands too. Did you watch that video? His motivational speech.
Yeah, yeah.
I took the
Have you seen
hinges. I ripped the door off the hinges and put the hinges in the fucking boy's hands. You can put the hinges in the hands too.
Have you seen Call Me Asparagus?
I don't think I have.
That's one of my new favorite videos. He's just wearing like a green tracksuit. He says, "Call me asparagus." That's basically it.
I heard they're actually casting him for Hagrid in the series.
No, get out of here. Get out of here. All right.
Watch the cast come out. It's all like celebs. It's like singers and.
That'd be sick. I'd probably be sick to my stomach if I saw that. It would be disgusting. Yeah.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick, yo. Sicko mode, basically. Yeah.
Lady Gaga is. It's like all these big names.
Lady Gaga as Minerva McGonagall.
That's right. Who's Dumbledore?
Timothy Chalamet as Dumbledore.
Some TikTok star as Harry Potter.
Oh, gee. Oh, don't say that. It's probably going to happen,
boys
too.
Are the Weasleys.
Why? Why do Zoomers have to ruin everything?
The Harry Potter series is very, and they throw in, it's really not, it's in poor taste completely. They're like throwing in like, they're on social media and it's
all right. Harry's finding out if he's got Riz or not. That's a whole
Harry,
part of it.
Harry, try this pickup line on that on that broad.
Yeah, Harry, you got to ask Cho out. Here, quick, you got to figure out if you have Riz.
I'll film it and we'll put it on the tube. We'll get all the clicks. Muggles, mudbloods, and wizards alike. All right. All right.
Anyway.
With that being said, thank you for watching. In the meantime, what video would you recommend our viewers watch next?
Ooh, go watch our video go watch a review of Halloween Town. Go check it out. Go check out a review of Halloween Town. If you're still feeling some spooky vibes, if you want some spooky vibes, Halloween Town's got you
covered.
If
you want a little brighter, if you want to turn
the
light
brighter
on, maybe go watch Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Don't watch Halloween Town 2 though. That's they turn the lights off. They really turn the lights off on
they turned the lights off when they were writing the script for that movie. I'm pretty sure that's where they got lost the plot somewhere along the line.
And Harry got a new broom. That's right.
You got the firebolt. Yeah. It was a gift from Sirius Black.
That's right. That's right.
That happened in the middle of the book, in the book, but it happened at the end here because I guess it's a little less creepy or something. I don't know.
That's right. It's endearing at the end. All right, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed, leave a comment, and if you do, we'll be sure to read it on the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. All right, click the link in the description for our social media, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you mudbloods later. All right.
Ooh, wow. Okay, going there, huh?
Yeah, that's right.